Welcome back to another episode of a very basic space program. This is episode 9, I think now. So you find me in the space plane hangar where we have the Coniston 1, and we are going to, first of all, I've created a copy of it. I've actually just saved this, and then I've made one change, which is if you look here at the little separation bar there where we've got a decoupler, if I load up the Coniston 2, there we go. It's got 2 stripes instead of 1. That's the only difference. So this is the same plane. And what we're going to do with it, well, we're going to edit the Coniston 1 in effect. So this is the Coniston 1, we changed the paint. That costs me nothing. But what we want to do is actually change these engines out. So this engine here, we want to change to this uprated version. So at the moment we've got, let's see, vacuum. Let's go for atmospheric delta V. Atmospheric delta V, we get 1,757 meters per second. We're going to uprate this. Obviously the fuel is a little bit different, so we need to change this. We're going to remove all the tanks, put in the new ones. This is a little bit annoying. This is one of the issues with having just multiple tanks, so you can play around with them, which is what I like to do, but it means when you do this, it takes a bit more time. So there we go, remove all the tanks, put that in, and you will see we're out to 1,997. Now, part of that is because we've now filled tanks, because one of the other things we had was, when we actually upgraded the cockpit here to the X2 cockpit, so we could go up to 75 kilometers, we actually got a larger air launch capability. So we've now got more efficient engines, and we've actually filled this. I think it was one of these tanks was only partially filled, so we've now filled it to the max, which is really nice. So what we could do is actually see, is there anywhere else we can put fuel? Can we put fuel in here? Can we put fuel in you? Can we put fuel in you? A little bit of fuel, that's almost nothing, so let's just remove that because that's just silly. Right, what we could do is stick in an extra fuel tank if we need to. We could put a little fuel tank in the back of there, and let's have a look at our balance for that. Let's see. We could do is, I think, what are these? These are 1, 2, 5s. We could maybe squeeze a smaller tank in there, but we've got the time to do it. Whoa, that's going to cost us quite a bit to do that change, which is fine because our next launch for this isn't for about 30-40 days. But let's see what happens if we put another pressurized tank in there. So we want conventional structure. We'll just stick it here for now. And let's see, what's our, this is one thing you can do. You can actually check, what have we actually tooled? What have we tooled so far? So tooling, I want to look at these here. We've got 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5. So, okay, so we've got these 1 meter ones. Have we got anything else? What else have we got? What about in steel separate tanks? Too small, too big. Okay, what about in service modules? Nope, not going to work. So we're pretty much looking at, if we want to put something in there, we're going to have to go for 125s and then make it a little bit smaller. We can go 10% smaller, so we could actually just shrink it down a bit. So let's try that. So let's go 1, 2, and it was 1 meter long, wasn't it? There we go. So let's have a look. It says I need to tool that. What if I do this? Oh no, we need to change it to there we go, up there. So it says it's tooled. How far down can I go? I can go down to, oh, I can go all the way down to there, so that's 0.5 meter. Okay, where is it going to stay? There we go. So I think we can go to about, can we? No, we're just going to go to there. So we're going to go to there. So it's a little bit smaller. It is 1 meter long, but these engines we know don't take up that space. So we're gonna color this, and what we'll do is we'll actually make it stand out for us. We'll put that on there. What's it going to do to us? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, because it's not cross-feeding, is it? Oh no, there we are. There we go. So it adds a grand total of almost nothing to it. So you know what, I don't think it's 90 meters per second. We're not doing that. It's just silly. But we could do that. We could put an extra tank in there. That's what it was designed for. The problem is these tanks are quite heavy. If we got lighter tanks, a nice light tank in there would be wonderful. So we're going to do that. We're going to save these edits. This is the Coniston 2. Check everything is going okay. Everything's in the right place. Wonderful. What we're actually waiting for now is just our tech to get moving. We've got the Coniston done there. We're going to prep that for air launch. And we've got this Javelin 1 CJ008, which has got a sounding load payload, and we're actually doing a sounding load mission with that when that comes in. But what we're waiting for is we're waiting for this to finish, and then we're waiting for the basic rocketry. Now we could put a bit of cash into it, we could put a bit of money into those things, but we're going to need that when this basic rocketry comes in to get the engine that I want, that's going to allow us to do the 3,000 meter downrange task. So we're going to hold off on that. We do have a launch pad ready, which is the over 60 ton launch pad, so that's really good. So we're not really limited by that. We could potentially do the 3,000 kilometer downrange now, because we've got probably the ability. We've got a ground launch, and then we could do some side. We could get clever with multiple stages. I don't want to do more than 2 stages for it, because I think it's not very realistic. If you do 3 stages for your 3,000 kilometer downrange contract, you're actually suggesting you've got really, your program's used to multi-stage rockets, and which, that not really that accurate. But anyway, we'll get to that. So we're going to mount that. We get the Javelin going. We're going to launch the Coniston, and we better take a contract for it as well at some point, hadn't we? So let's have a look. What contracts can we have for this Coniston? We have a load of them. Here we are. They're all coming in now. Wonderful. It's been a while. So I don't want to take this one. I want to take this 35 kilometers. We've still got the old science in this as well at the moment. So I think we'll just fly it with the old science, go for the 35, try and keep ourselves, in the atmosphere as long as possible, and get that science done. And then we'll see what happens. So let's get that one going. Here we are on the runway with a bit of a night launch. Actually, I didn't realize we were in the dark, but this is going to make it a little bit different to our previous ones. We've got our fly-by-wire on. We've got our, let's get our thrust up, and then we're going to stage our engines. There we go. And now we want to pull up and try and get some altitude as quickly as possible. So this is very loud, isn't it? So these are our new engines. We're going to have a look at this here. Isn't that nice? Yeah, very loud. Very dark. Very dark. Maybe do we need some ambient lighting going on here? We've got ambient lighting anywhere we can activate? I don't think we do. So we're just going to be in the dark for this one. I'll probably have to lighten this up a little bit later. So we're going to go for 35 kilometers. You can see now we're gaining altitude. We lost almost 2 kilometers just since our airdrop. And you do find that you're going to lose some of your actual upwards momentum and things like that. So here we go, going up. Get ourselves over that 10 kilometer mark as quickly as possible. Come on, get up there, because we want to start this science as quickly as possible. We're doing the right speed. There we go. Right, we're running. Okay, so now we're aiming for 35 to complete that mission. Let's have a look. We need a crew record 40 record there as well. And there's that record that we want. That's the one we want. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on both of those. Actually, we might hit that by accident on the way up. That'll be quite nice. We get some more money for it, more funds. So the good thing about these XLR engines on this craft is they can actually run for a long time, and then they can actually be reused. So you can actually take them off, reuse them, and that was the plan for them. A lot of the rocket planes had reusable engines because you didn't want to have to replace them all the time. And we're just going to thrust on up there in the dark. Of course, you can see the city lights there, which is quite nice. No cloud cover on this night flight, which is handy because that would be horrendous, wouldn't it? So we're up at 20 is our predicted now. We need to keep on climbing, keep on going. I'm gonna just edge the nose down a bit. Now, actually, I'm gonna keep going up at quite an angle there. We need to get up there. We've still got about half of our delta V left. And we're starting to gain speed. Our thrust to weight ratio is up now. We're up at a nice level, so we can actually start to gain a good bit of speed, a good bit of altitude. We need to get to 35. Once we're at 35, we can just level this craft out a little bit, and just love it, enjoy it. We're obviously going to get a lot more speed with this, and that concerns me with the cockpit, because we could get an overheat situation with the cockpit. So we need to be aware of that, because this cockpit, there has been some changes. I've actually just updated this, so we've got new fairing, config type things, and some things with the cockpit and things like that. But we have to be aware of these things. Have to be aware of what's going on. Liquid oxygen is running out. Okay, we're going to just edge up a bit more. Want to make sure we get to that 35 mark. Here we go. Getting up. Right, and now we're just going to throttle right back. We want to go as low as possible, really eke out that throttle. Eke it out. Just give us as much time going as fast as we can. There we go. And now we're going to level it out. I don't really need to hit 40. We could just pop it up there, and it just gives us that extra little bit of funds. I don't know what we're going to get for that, but you know, maybe it's better if we level the flight out and get a nice easy little flight here. We're going to come in over the launch site there quite easily. We might actually be going a bit too fast over the launch site. We will see. We're now going to come back down, and there we go. The engines are out, so we're going to just put ourselves level. We want to just stay level. We want to stay for as long as possible. We can actually speed these up this now. We want to stay basically level as long as possible, as fast as possible, as high as possible. We want to just, you know, use all the power that we've got in this craft. We don't want to put the nose down too soon. We want to get as much of this science ticking in as possible. So we've got 7 minutes to count up there. We've got still 7 minutes to go on it, and I really want to finish this off. We may actually just stick this craft up without doing an X-Planes high contract just to do this, because it doesn't cost us much to do that, and getting this science is worth it. Actually getting every little bit of science out of this, get this out of the way, and then we can start on our Mach 2 stuff when we've got now we've got the operated engines. So there we are. We're going to be keeping science going as long as we keep ourselves up in the upper atmospheres and nice and fast. So we're going to keep an eye on this surface speed and an eye on this altimeter here. So there we go. Crew report transmitted. Oh, wonderful. Got nothing because we're flying low, because flying low doesn't count anymore. Right, we're going to put our nose down a little bit, keep the speed up, because we've actually got a lack. We're going to let's have a look. Which one's going to be the thing we lose first? I think we're going to lose altitude first, but we'll see. We're going to go back out to the bay over there, and I think we're going to we'll probably end up trying to do a turn and come back to land. We could have actually, you know, started off a bit further away, and then we could have actually done this. So we started about 200 kilometers away. We could probably start 300 kilometers away now and probably have the range for this. We will see, but we'll see. It's all about the learning, isn't it? So there we go, flying over the coast there. Look, that looks scary. Looks like got some sort of infection going on. I mean, no, that's supposed to be city lights, but it does look like you've got some sort of alien infection spreading across the city, which is a bit weird, isn't it? So we're still above the required speed. Let's just check this. We've managed to get quite a big chunk. I think one more flight should do this, particularly if we're not aiming to go high. If we just want to keep the engines running, we'll be fine. So we're going to need to put the nose down now to keep our speed up just a little bit longer, and do that. Right, we need to pull our nose a bit up and then down again. Yeah, there we go. We're just trying to eke out that as much as possible. I'm going to go down a bit every little tiny second, and we're done. Yeah, we go. We might as well go down now. Right, so now we might as well deploy our brakes. Get them on, the worst brakes in the world. I should really actually have added on some air brakes this, but maybe if we refine the craft a bit, we will we'll do that. What we'll do is we'll build some air brakes into maybe back here, or what I've done in the past is, if you've actually got fixed planes, we've got movable tail planes. If you've got those fixed, you can actually have sections at the lower end that pop out. We could actually just replace this bottom section here with a fixed section, have our air brakes built into it, and then a movable top section, and the same at the bottom there to give us some control. I'll think about that. Top and bottom would be quite cool. Alright, we can arm our parachutes and fire them now. There we go. And off we do. So we're going to come down, and what's our altitude? Yeah, we've got a little bit to go. We're completely out of fuel, so this thing's just going to... Where's that going? Oh, I missed that. I think we're over forest right now, which is quite nice. Transmitted, no science gained because we already have the data. Yes, I know we already have the data. There isn't any data to be had from that, in fact. Right, parachute's going to pop any second. There we go. Fling the craft around because we've got it on time warp, and then we're going to just pop that down as quickly as possible and do that. So we completed that. We didn't reach the 40 the 40 kilometer mark. We could have, but we've held off on that. So I suppose when our next X-Planes a high contract comes up, it'll be to 40, and then we'll get a double whammy then, which is fine. You know, we're not massively in a hurry to get that cash right now, because I want to bank it for that engine. I don't think it's really worth us getting another tech point. Maybe it is. I'll look at the funding once this thing comes back down. In fact, we can have a look right. Well, we won't get it now, but once it comes back down, we'll have a look at the funding and see what we think is best. But Carl Hall, another flight in the books for him, and we're down. Let's actually have a look now. So where's our? There we are. Oh, so we've got 51,000. I think I need 45, 50, 45 or 40 for the engine that I want. And then we're going to reuse a load of tanks, so it's going to be about assembling a craft with reused tanks, so it shouldn't be too expensive. So we could probably spend a point on research. I think we'll do that. We'll spend a point on research and then we'll move on. So recover the vessel to the space plane hangar, and off we go. Well, we collected a reasonable chunk of science there, almost 5 science points from that supersonic flight, which means we should be able to finish it with one more flight. Carl has taken a bit of a holiday, which he deserves. And the bonus of that is, because we got that science, and we'll just go through all of this, thank you. Because we got that science, we also get ourselves a free upgrade point, which we're going to stick in R&D straight away. We're also going to buy another one. Stick that in R&D straight away. So now we're looking at, okay, we're looking at about 200 days. So we're looking at sort of the start of 1955, where we go for that. We start putting that craft together for our 3,000 kilometer downrange contract. We probably won't be uprating the tanks. I don't have the money to do that, and also because we've got this satellite era material science coming next on that one, we could go straight to the integral tanks then. So we're going to hold off on that. We do have early science and stuff like that, early solids. We're going to have to think about what order we want these in, because potentially I might want to go orbital with solid rocket, with orbital rocketry down here. So I might want to move that up, but we'll think about that. So we're going to wait for the Coniston to come back. I will prep it, and we'll send it out again, and then we'll get on with this Javelin launch, I think, after that. So after a few days fueling up and setting the Coniston back into its air launch mount, it is the 23rd of the 6th, 1954. We're going to send it up again. We're going to air launch it. We're going to change that to 300 kilometers away, because we know that we've got the thrust now to do that probably. And we're going to put, let's have a look, who shall we have in? Constantine, I think, is our next up. So we're not aiming for altitude here, we're aiming for cruise time. We want to get up to over 10 kilometers, and then we just want to hold there while we do the science. We want to finish this science task now. We want to get it done, and that's our job for this flight. So I will probably speedy this sort of up. So let's get going. Right, we have air launched. We're just about to get going. There we go. Engines fire. We're going to pull up on the stick, and I am then going to speedy this up a bit. We're going to go to time warp. We're going to hold it there, and we want to get up to 10. And then once I'm at 10, once we're at speed, I'm going to drop the thrust down on the engines, make sure that our thrust to sea level thrust is actually okay. Once we're over 10, we can drop this down and just go into cruise mode. Now, of course, you'll notice these aren't really throttleable engines. The way they actually worked is they had 4 chambers each, and they would actually shut down the chambers as they were going to decide, to control the amount of fuel they were using. So they didn't actually throttle fuel in the same way that we would think of it. So we're going to slow this down. We're going to bring our throttle down, and I want to bring it down to about there. Yeah, that's okay. So what we are, it is running. We've got 2 minutes to do it. I want to hold it about there. That's where I want to hold it for. Right. And interestingly, because we didn't go really high, we've actually got quite a lot of drag right now, and we don't mind about losing some of that drag. We've got a minute of sort of thrust on these engines, I believe, but I think it's going to last longer than that. I think these engines should go longer. Let's have a look. Yeah, that seems to be just ticking away quite slowly. So you know, it should be ticking a second every second, but we're let's have a look. So 49, it's 40 at 07, and 45 it's over. So yeah, we've got double. So we should, if we just do this, we should be quite happily holding ourselves at this speed. So what we'll just do is we'll speed up a bit now. Just get some speed going while this happens. And all we've got to do is make sure that we don't drop below that 10k and the speed limit that's associated with it. So we've got a minute to go. Here we go. We can see something in the distance, probably land. Let's have a look what we're doing. We've got this science running 30 odd seconds. Once that 30 seconds is up, we are pretty much done. We can actually just jet off and land this thing. So we are now going to be completed with the supersonic task flight stuff. And we can actually move on to the Mach 2 tasks, which is wonderful because I don't like leaving science behind, shall we say. So our oxygen is going to run out, and we're going to be going into the ocean. I have gone too far with this departure right now, haven't I? Oh dear. Okay, that's interesting. So we've still got 20 odd seconds to go. That's giving us a warning because of our fuel levels, but in reality, we're actually got quite a bit of fuel left. And we're probably going to be gaining speed for quite a while, so let's just speed this up a bit, get further along. We're looking for land at some point, would be good. A little bit of a location to come down in would be brilliant. I do not see land though. I do not see land. I think we might have gone. Oh, is that it there? Is that a line of land there? I think that is it there. I think that is it there. So we just need to glide on down. We've got 2, 3, 4 seconds of feeling right. Now we just need to just glide elegantly. Also, don't steer when you're in physical time warp because it's horrible. So there we go. We're just gonna let it just go along there, just until we get near land. I really hope we make land because I don't want this thing jumping up and down in the water because that leads to explosions. These craft do not do well landing in water, and as they wouldn't in real life, you'd be looking for landing on the ground, in the nice firm ground where it could just rest nicely instead of being tossed around in the water. I mean, if you think about SpaceX and its fairings, it was trying to catch them instead of it having them land in the water originally, because just landing in the water causes problems. Now they do land them, but then you know, they do get some damage from them. So here we are. There's the land there. I think we're going to make it. I hope we're going to make it. We're going to put our nose down just a smidgen to keep our airspeed going because we want to go forward a little bit. Right, let's speed you up again. Come on, bring me into the land. That's all I need. Yeah, we're gaining a bit of airspeed. That's okay. We're just gonna pull our nose up a bit to try and use that to our advantage. Lose a bit of speed again. We're just trying to edge our way in to that ground there where we can fire our parachutes off. We are coming in quite low though. We are getting lower and lower by the moment. And that's the playoff we have. We're losing height to maintain this speed, because if this thing loses too much speed, it will just fall out of the sky. So we're about 4, and we're going to be getting more and more lift now, because as we get lower, the air is going to get thicker. These wings are going to produce more and more lift, and you see we're actually our differential is not too bad actually. Our glide slope isn't terrible, so we might just about make this. I think in future we'll set off with these engines in this craft. I think we'll set off at 200 kilometers out, because this is a little tight. If we'd have gone on a higher arc, we probably would have gone further. We probably got right to that coastline, but we're going to be quite touch and go on this, I think. And I don't want to steer left and right because yeah. Well, there we go. We'll do a bit of that. That's slowed us down a little bit. Right, let's bring us in. So I don't want to go to completely slow. I'm trying to do a speedy up section, aren't we? Right, we're going to come in and yeah, I think we've made it. I think we've just about made it. We could actually even go over there to the KSC. So let's do a bit of that. Let's do a bit of this and turn. Go to the KSC. There we go. Look at that. Bring it round. And then come in. And we could actually, you know, if we had wheels on this, we could probably land this. This is actually, you know what, I was complaining about this, but this is actually almost a perfect glide slope into the base. What we'll do is we're just going to pull the nose up like so, and there we go. Fire the parachutes, flip around, done, perfect. We're going to put ourselves just next to, that's just cheeky, isn't it? Like that. We're just going to put ourselves just down on the crawlway, and then they can take us on this track round here back to the V8. Why is there a set of crawlway markers there to the right, there we go, we're down, we're safe. We do not have a mission to complete. Got a lot of contracts that we have done in the past where we need to check off. So recover the vessel to the spaceplane hangar. The Coniston 2 has been recovered, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to edit it straight away. It's going to be, it's not, wasn't supposed to be a very space plane heavy episode, but we're going to edit it and we're going to swap over its science instrumentation and refuel it at the same time. So that's going to be what we're going to try and do. And of course we're going to do the standard edit, which is to open up our save and just load up the save. So there we go, there's the Coniston 2. And what we will do is we'll change this science here. So if we come down here to configure crew science, we're going to change that to Mach 2 flight. Oh, high altitude flight is available as well. What does that require? Crew, oh, that's new. Is that a new one? Hypersonic flight. Oh, we've got a load of new ones. Okay, so right, so high altitude flight just requires that you go over that. It has one slot. Sample mass is that. You've got to do it 3 times. Oh, so right. So this has actually been reduced, so you can do it longer. So that's over 10. That one is right. What we're going to need to do is actually have a look at the science for this, aren't we? So where's my little science gizmos? Right, so what do I get for this? Close that. So, show only, I don't want to only know shown, right. So, high altitude science on Earth, 15, okay. And that requires that I go above something and I've got to run it 3 times. Okay, 40 minutes. Okay, we could just keep firing those missions up then and doing stuff, right. So for hypersonic, we get, let's have a look, 15 science, and we've got to go over 1.6 kilometers per second, got to do 40 minutes of that. Okay, we've done this one already. Let's just check. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've done that. So Supersonic is done. So Mach 2, what's Mach 2 do for us? 20, right. Got to do that at least 3 times, got to do it for 40 minutes in total. Okay, so that's quite a lot of flight time. So we can just rack through that to get this. We're going to get 20 of it. Got to be above 10 and above 600. That's going to be the difficult. We're going to have to do lots of loops, ups and downs. So I think this is the one that's going to cost us the most. Now we could just do some high altitude one, but that's again 650. That is interesting. So I think it's better if we do the Mach 2, I think, because that high altitude doesn't give us as much, I don't believe. The high altitude just requires the speed and it gives you 15. So we're going to do the Mach 2. Let's do the Mach 2. So we'll set it to Mach 2, close that, and then we'll just save that so that when we next bring it out, that's ready. So this is where you get to make a decision. Would you like to see me do some of these Coniston flights that are literally just going to be repeats? They're going to just be repeat, rinse and repeat as we go. Would you prefer to have a little compilation of them where I do them and maybe voice over them, each one of them? Do you just not want to see them? Because they're all going to be very much the same. I might do one of the, I'll do one of the Mach 2 flights. We'll see what that's like, and then I think I'll probably do the others in the background. We're going to try and include them in the X-Planes contracts as well though, so maybe I'll just show you the X-Planes and then we'll do the actual science in the background, just the grind. So that's got to be done. Next up, I think we're going to be flying the Javelin, so let's get forward with that and then we can choose a contract that's going to match it. Right, the Javelin is ready. However, while that was going, we actually finished that material science that we needed to do, and we're now onto basic rocketry. So we're going to be able to prepare our next rocket in 119 days. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this because we're going to rename it because we will have time slot for another launch of one of these. I think we're going to have the opportunity, because it's 90 days to prep it, we're going to have an opportunity to launch into the Javelin, and we might as well do that if we're waiting around for that time there. So let's have a look at the contracts. What have we got? We could go difficult, which is we could do that, but the bonus is not that much more than this one. So 195 units to 70 kilometers, which I'm actually quite happy with doing. So I think we're going to go for that. We're not going to go for the, what do we gain? We gain 1, 9, you gain not much at all, in fact. So we're going to go for this intermediate one. So 70 kilometers, 195. So let's go modify our rocket here. So we need 195 sounding payload in that nose cone. So we've got our tank here. We're going to go tank UI. We're going to go down to our sounding payload. I'm actually going to put 200 in just because I can. And we're going to update that just because it makes sure that we've got everything we need in. We could actually put some more fuel in there if we wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. So that's the J008. We're going to save that, and we're going to save the edits. And it seems those edits were so small that we haven't actually had to do anything. So the craft is ready to go already. So he's going to roll that out. So it is a sunny day here on the launch pad. We have the J008 ready to go. One thing you can do if you're doing these sounding rocket contracts, and I would suggest doing it, is bring up the contract before you even launch and just check that it is actually recognizing that you've got the correct payload in there, because you never know. Sometimes you can miss a unit, or it can be out by a bit, or you're just not added up, particularly if you're using multiple tanks to hold them, because one thing I've done in the past is actually have a smaller upper tank and then you stack sort of inline tanks behind it to give you additional capacity. So we're ready. We need to go to 70 kilometers. This is actually a bit of an overkill rocket for this, but it was already constructed, so we're not too worried about it, and we can just get going. So we're all ready to go. There we go. Start the engine. Wait until we get burned, then we fire it. And you know what we'll do? We'll actually take a bit of control over here, and we're gonna put it out to sea. I think send it out to sea just a little bit, like so. There we go. Brilliant. And we can just let it sit and do that. We need to go up to 70. It should hit 70 easily for us. We know it can go up to about 240 if it really wants to. So we're not too worried about it. And it's just going to go up there. And once it gets that target, what I will actually do is I will probably... I don't believe we've got any science on board that can actually be done. Yeah, we've got telemetry analysis. That's about it. We don't want to do that. So... on its way up, what we'll just do is we'll range safety it once it gets to the required altitude, which is nice and easy, isn't it? Isn't that good? So this is going to be a nice quick launch, and then we can do a range safety, and we're sort of done. So I would like your feedback on what to do with the multiple flights constant, and I'm also, you know, there is the sounding rocket grind factor in this sort of game that there is concerning. I'm going to try and cut that out a little bit. We're trying to jump as much as possible, but we will see. So there we go. We're going to almost get up there now. Just speed this up in a little bit of thinking. Now, interestingly, it's actually self-stabilizing there reasonably well, considering the thin atmosphere, which is a positive. So let's have a look. Have we reached our target yet? There we go. Completed. Crew record, we're not doing that. Crew, not doing that. Uncrewed altitude, we're not going to do that because we're nowhere near it. We're only 207 and we didn't fly very well. We're not going to get the speed record. So we can range safety this thing. And yes, I think I want to. Yes, we're going to range safety. Right, back to the Cape. Right, welcome back to the Cape, and we're actually in the science area, and I thought I'd just explain to you my thought processes going forward. So I could potentially have gone for the 3,000 kilometers downrange already, but I'm actually waiting for this basic rocketry node so that I can use the NA75110A series, which is basically it's like the A6 engine, which was used on the Redstone rocket. I do believe that they're actually rewriting some of the configs for these at the moment, so that may actually change before I get to use it, because I think there's something to do with the ISP thrust to weight ratio and the fact that, you know, the later version, the A7, which is in there somewhere. There we are, the A7. The A7 was actually using Hydine, I believe. Does it list it on there? I don't know if it does. It used Hydine as a fuel, and interestingly, of course, when they then went to use the Redstone for launching Mercury, they changed back to using basically liquid oxygen and ethanol, because it was safer. They didn't want to have Hydine, which is very toxic. So there was some changes there. So technically, there's another version of this, I think, out there. But so this is the engine we're going to use. It hasn't got. There is actually, you know, its ISP is okay. The main reason I'm going for it is because of its burn time, because it will burn for, where is it? Where's my numbers? It will burn for 145 seconds, so over 2 minutes. Now, we could use right now the XLR 43, which, as you look at sort of thrust and things like that, isn't actually very bad. It's actually got a better ISP than the engine we're going to wait for. Equally, if you have a look at them, just look at the thrust. Yeah, they're pretty similar for the actual thrust. The difference being that the XLR 53, I think, was designed for like a cruise missile type thing. I can't remember. I'd have to go and look it up. I believe it was like for the Navajo or something like that. The problem is that it is actually designed just to burn for 60 seconds, which is not long enough for us to really take advantage. You get this really high velocity, high acceleration at the start because you just don't have the fuel on board to weigh it down. And so you have to put more upper stages on. So I don't really want to go for sort of 3 or 4 stage rocket to that target. So we're going to go for this. And then we'll think about orbit beyond that. We may use that. We may decide to use something from the next node up. I don't know. Okay, so I think we're going to leave it there. Next time we'll do some more rocket planes. We'll finish off this. We may start putting together our 3,000 kilometer craft. We could actually start putting it together now and just start building it and then stick the engine on in reality. But I might do that. It's a little cheeky. In fact, you know what? Next time we'll put together the craft we're going to use for that mission, and we'll start building it, I think, is what we'll do. And then we can get a run on it, and then we can just stick the engine on when we're ready. Okay, so from me, until next time, have a great one.